And then Frank, you're with what company?
Perfectly Clear.
Okay. And can you describe that business for me just a little bit?
Special events coordination. We do red carpet events, grand openings, some charity stuff.
Absolutely. And Matty, you're the guy that's kind of kicked all of this stuff off from the very beginning.
Yeah, I created the original event that amassed the 3.6 million people, the worldwide phenomenon.
Okay. Before we get to where we stand at the moment, tell me a little bit about the page coming down, the Storm Area 51 getting a little bit too hot, and then turning it into something else. Tell me about that process right there.
Well, it initially took off and got to epic proportions, and that's when we decided we should start. I had the idea to throw some kind of music event out there because I think that'd be really cool. Music is what I do. It's my favorite pastime. It's something that's really enjoyable for me and hits home. So once it took off, I was like, we could do something really cool with this, all this publicity. And then the event got taken down, and suddenly it was like a panic. They have no organization now. People are still going to show up, that kind of stuff, but it could be a disaster. So we decided to when it got taken down initially, my first idea was just to contact every reporter that had contacted me previously, and we did that. The Newsweek article went live. There's a bunch of other articles that went live right after that, and then there was about 20 or so within a few hours. And then after 4 hours had passed, Facebook put the event back up with no explanation why.
Yeah, and as you're getting into this entire process, did you realize how much work would actually go into making an event that could potentially be this large?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I personally haven't planned events myself, so I reached out to a bunch of people that had, and it was going well for a while, but then there are some transparency issues with one of our partners. So,
and now we don't exactly know what's going on, right?
Now at this point, some questions are going to have to be answered, and some hoops are going to have to be jumped through to make it just even able to be a safe place to go. Right now, we don't have a good feeling about people going out 150 miles into the desert without the resources that they need. And if we don't get the straight answers, we may have to explore other options.
Yeah, because the safety of the people is our number one priority, always has been. I care about these people. They're kind of like a family to me because I created this thing, and they're all just, I care about all of them, and I don't feel comfortable at this point in time with the current option. So that's why we're looking into different ones.
Yeah, and Frank, you set up events like this on a regular basis, but tell me a little bit about what goes into making it happen, especially out in the middle of nowhere in the desert.
Well, let me back up a little bit. To say I put on an event like this, I've never seen anything like this. So the only thing we can do is speculate how many people are going to be there, because we've heard, nobody showing up, and then we heard everybody showing up. So I started making some phone calls around every place from Pahrump to Pioche to see what kind of traffic they've gotten up until that point. Are things increasing? And even gas stations and convenience stores are saying that they have 10 times as many people as they normally have, asking questions. Where is it? How do we get there? So we actually started thinking about an alternative plan ourselves, which was a festival called Peace Stock. Put all the infrastructure together, and we were turned down for a permit because right about the time that the permit came up for grabs, they started taking it seriously. And we told them all along we were going to try to divert some of that crowd to a different area so that they didn't gridlock, but it ended up being a waste of time. So we got contacted, and what goes into an event like this, it depends how many people are going to be there. An event like this should be a year in the planning, but it's not. It should be there should be facilities enough for minimum of 10,000 people in the area. They're not. There's supposed to be water out there. There's not. They say there's water, but when 10,000 people are going to the same drinking fountain or the same area, it can pose a problem. If food runs out, if a refrigerated truck runs out of power, people are going to start getting sick, and when they get sick out there, then what do we do then? We have no cell phone service. We thought about bringing out satellite, but it's a month-long process for them to bring that out, or Wi-Fi. So, at this point, some questions need to be answered. So what goes into an event like this? Way more than has gone into it. That's all I can say.
And that we're talking a little bit about transparency issues specifically here, and we've talked with Connie. I haven't heard what she's had to say yet, but what are those transparency issues here? Break that down for me as to how you guys got pulled in, the questions that
We were
asked.
contacted about a week ago, after our, 2 weeks after our permit was denied. We were done. We were all making plans for Christmas. And we got a phone call, and we jumped into this and said, they asked, could we help? And we said, we need to know what you have so we can know if we can help. So what do you have like in place currently? Because we expect things like fencing and grading and bathrooms and
Basic infrastructure as far as
Yeah.
festivals go.
the minimum. We can fix other things. If there's stage light, sound, talent, extra security, the sanitation, we can do all that, but we need to know what you have in place. And a lot of time passed over the last week, and it was more and more, we have it, it's already taken care of. Okay, show me the contracts. Because just because I make a phone call doesn't mean that I have a contract. It doesn't mean that it's in place. With Life is Beautiful going on, with the NASCAR event that we have next weekend, with the iHeart Music Radio Festival that they're having, the resources, even for Vegas, are stretched very thin, much less dragging them out 150 miles into the desert. So we need to know they're coming, not we think they're coming, or my friend said he's going to bring out this. We need to know. It's not like here, we can't run to Walmart and grab something when we run out.
Yeah, and being 11 days out and still having no confirmation on things like that were...
So it's trust, but verification. So we started to verify instead of just trusting.
Yeah,
And
there's a lot of trust put into it, and then once we started to verify, there's a lot of things that really didn't add up.
so him being the face of the entire event, I told him that this is probably a time that you need to back off until these questions get answered, because they're not going to blame somebody they've never met. They're going to blame him. And if that's going to be the case, and if for some reason this does go sour, he needs to get back to those people, let them know that this is something that he's doing. Firefest became something that they didn't tell anybody, even when it started. They just refused to tell anybody that it was going bad. He's not doing that.
I can't do that to the people that I'm caring about their safety, caring about their well-being. I'm not going to send them out to the middle of nowhere where there's no infrastructure. They could flat tires, something like that. I'm not going to send these people into a dangerous
they had an ocean
situation.
and jet skis out there. I mean, we got nothing.
Yeah.
Well, and what is the likelihood at this point that something is actually going to happen? If you could give
Take a
me-
miracle. They may still try to do something out there, but as far as Matty's concerned, it's probably a better time for him to give enough time for himself to change the road and the path that people are on right now. Because if they've made travel plans, if they got groups of people coming out there and he's not going to be there, now's the time to yank it. And we're most likely going to do that today.
Well,
It's just the way it is.
Matty, two questions specifically for you here. This has been kind of your baby for months and months now. Coming to just a fizzle out towards the end, what does that feel like at this point?
Oh man, it's extremely heartbreaking. This has been my baby since day one, since the first time I had the idea come to fruition. So I've been working day in and day out, waking up thinking about this thing, thinking about it all day, going to bed thinking about it, and then I dream about it. And to have it all just kind of fizzle out during the 11th hour, it sucks. It really does suck. But I can't have my name associated with something that could be a Firefest 2.0.
Yeah, and if you had a message for anybody that's going to be out there watching this tonight, tomorrow, whenever they are, about whether they should or should not come, and it might be a little too early to answer this at this point, but if you had a message for them, what would you tell them about coming out?
Just stay posted. We'll have more details about a potential venue change coming soon. So there'll be something happening. Even regardless, there's 2 other music festivals going on in Vegas at the same time. So if you're traveling out, there's plenty of entertainment.
Absolutely.
We may have some good news by the end of the day, but
Yeah.
whatever happens, it doesn't need to happen out there. We can't help 10,000 people if things go bad. I don't think they have enough experience, and I don't think they have taken it seriously enough. And for a 20-year-old to take it more serious than the people that are actually considering putting this thing on says something for him.
Okay. And Daryl, you had talked with Connie. Am I missing out on anything here that?
I don't think so.
Connie's angry.
Okay. Well, and that is final for you. Am I missing out on anything that people need to know that you all think that they should know at this point?
I feel at this point, if there's a responsibility to stop this before any more money is spent on it, because we can't keep tabs on the money. He doesn't have access to the money. We've never had access.
That's been one of our biggest issues.
And when we
thus
ask
far.
questions, especially when it gets down to dollar bills, it's very important that transparency is about a two-way street, obviously, but it's definitely a one-way street. So we're not angry, but we're also not stupid, and the signs are pointing to bad, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So without bad-mouthing anybody or without throwing anybody under the bus, myself, I would not do business with this anymore. It needs to go away before it becomes the biggest disaster that Southern Nevada's ever seen, and it can be. NDOT doesn't want this. Nobody wants this out there. So if they don't want it, they're gonna do as little as possible to help with it. So we needed to put an infrastructure. We needed to build the city out there in the
That's
middle
pretty
of
much
the
what the
desert.
festival is, a small city. And
There's not even a town out there. There's not even a tent out there. So until that is in place and proof of that, it's best to step back and let it die its own death.